Hi, Julie Jones from SSB Performance, Smarter, Stronger, Better Mindset Training, here with this week's Mindset Made Simple Tip of the Week, brought to you by Game Day Sportswear. Before we get into this week's topic, don't forget to check out Game Changers Athlete Edition, Add in Athlete Edition podcast, where Courtney Harmon, my former player, and I talk about ways to make the sporting experience better for everyone, athletes, parents, and in the long run, coaches. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. Game Changers Athlete Edition with Courtney Harmon and Julie Jones. And this week's topic for our mental performance tip, or our Mindset Made Simple Tip of the Week, is rewiring our mind for success. I'm making a case for joy conditioning and a highlight reel. So imagine you're stepping onto the field, onto a stage, onto the pitch, onto whatever. Your heart's racing, the pressure is mounting. What are you doing? Have you prepared? Have you thought about how you've prepared? Well, we know after reading 230 or 234 or 43 tips that people who mentally train for situations just like this, pressure, heart racing, and all these things, outperform those that don't. And we've talked time and time again about the tool of mental rehearsal. And today I want to put a little different spin on it. We know that mental training has this sort of aura that we're fixing weaknesses. Lots of people don't want to work with me because they don't, my kids don't need help. They don't need a counselor. Well, I'm not a counselor, first of all. I'm a mental performance coach, a mindset coach. And we are here to help guard against all the things that go against us when we're trying to perform, which is part of who we are. But what if it wasn't just about fixing mistakes, and we could actually train our brains to be more at ease, to have more joy, to be more confident on demand? Wouldn't that be awesome? I know, it'd be awesome for me too. But we know this. Our brain doesn't know the difference between what we imagine vividly and what really happens. And we also know that people that are confident use what we call motivational imagery, where they work to use their emotions or manage their emotions in their visualizations, in their rehearsals, and that helps them prepare and sort of get themselves there before they get there, get the answers to the test before the test. They know they're going to feel a certain way, so they rehearse feeling that way and watching themselves overcome it. This motivational imagery makes us more prepared to deal with stepping on stage, stepping on the court, stepping on the pitch, stepping on the field when the pressure is mounting and our heart rate is racing. These tools make a difference, and we're going to put a little different twist on this today. So these tools are so simple, and we know that what we see, what we feel, what we rehearse is very, very important. So why not all of us do what Wendy Suzuki says? She calls it joy conditioning. And I've heard Dr. Suzuki talk about this before, but I was listening to a podcast this week, and I finally sort of got this light bulb above my head that this joy conditioning is really what we do in mental performance with a highlight reel. And we need both. We need to build an ESPN top 10 plays, and we need to go back and relive joyous occasions. Here's the deal. Our brain is constantly predicting what is going to happen next based on our past experiences. Here's the problem. There's always a caveat, right? Most of the things that come up immediately are our emotion-filled experiences. And most of our emotion-filled experiences are those connected to frustration and embarrassment and things that we didn't enjoy, because we flood those things, or mistakes. We flood those things with emotion. In fact, we poo-poo the things that went right because they're just expected. When we do something well, it's just like, oh, that's what was expected of me. Okay, here we go on to the next thing. So we don't give a lot of emotion to the good stuff. And we know that if we want to repeat the good stuff, then we need to have these memories ready for when the brain is ready to predict based on past experiences. When we screw it up, they're right there. When we do something well, they just go right on by. So it seems as if that maybe we should do a better job of highlighting the good stuff. So how do we do it? It's really, really simple. Author Jason Selk of Executive Toughness says this. He says, remembering a successful moment is a great confidence boosting technique. He says, recalling a past performance in the present allows us to relive the same full range of emotions that we experienced when we performed the feat the first time. That sounds sort of like this motivational imagery that confident people use. And Dr. Suzuki in neuroscience backs this up. She explains that joy conditioning, which I sort of, tied to this highlight reel that we use, strengthens the hippocampus, the brain's memory center, by actively reliving joyous moments. She says this counteracts stress and the fear response that is triggered by the amygdala. And if you read any of these tips or listen to any of this, you know that we need to keep our amygdala in check if we want to perform at our best. More research shows that athletes who rehearse past successful experiences activate the same neural circuits as when they performed the task originally. We're using the same circuits. We do something, we relive it, we feel like we're doing it again. That has to be a good thing. I like to say there's never a bad time to watch yourself be awesome. Dr. Huberman, one of my favorites, adds that visualization and sensory recall increase neuroplasticity. They help us form and reform our memories or relive our memories, optimize our performance under pressure. The bottom line is this: what we focus on, we strengthen. Dr. Suzuki's joy conditioning, intentionally reliving positive memories using all 5 of our senses, strengthens our impacts. I'm having a hard time talking today. By repeatedly revisiting these joyous experiences, we teach our brain to default to positivity, which is not our normal operating system. We default to negativity and problems as opposed to joy and solutions. So we have to work on this. We have to practice it. So how do we do it? Well, we recall a joyous experience. Maybe it was a great vacation. Maybe it was something you did, had a great experience, with your friends or whatever it might have been, something that you really felt good about in your accomplishments. And then we engage all of our sentences. We think, what do we see? What do we feel? What are we doing? What are we wearing? What did it feel like? That's why I like the mental rehearsal instead of just visualization. Immerse yourself in this experience and then relive it for 30 seconds. For 30 seconds, you're flooding your body, your brain with all of these neurotransmitters that are good for us: a dopamine hit, an epinephrine hit, a serotonin hit, all these different things that help us feel better, and they can help us relieve some stress and feel more joyful. Settles our heart rate, helps us manage some of the pressure. Joy conditioning works because your brain will replay what you feed it, so why not feed it something good? Take it a next step further. What if we could train our brain to expect success? This is where our highlight reel comes in. Athletes, from Olympians and NFL players to all the teams that I work with, use a highlight reel. We all need one. Athletes, business people, everyone needs a highlight reel. Research shows, as we know, visualizing success increases the likelihood of replicating it because it strengthens the motor patterns in our brain. It helps us remember that we can manage our emotions. It helps us remember that we can actually accomplish what we set our minds out to. And that's important. So how do we use this? This is simple, right? Recall a great moment. And you ask a kid on your team, or you ask someone that you lead, something that they did well, they will not want to talk about it in front of everyone. For the most part, a lot of people don't. But we want to encourage them to do that because we need to relive this good stuff. We need to think about a time you felt unstoppable, something felt great when you were at your best. And then we're going to replay it in detail. What did you see, hear, feel? What were you wearing? What was the environment? What did the crowd do? What did everyone around you do when you hit the grand slam? Or when you made the game-winning shot? Or when you just gave this amazing presentation? What was going on around you? Remember it all. Relive it all. And then step into it. Relive the pride. Relive that feeling of confidence. Relive, when you're a hitter and boom, you just feel the ball come off your bat. You know exactly what that feels like. Put yourself back there and do it again. Our highlight reel is not resting on our laurels. It's not walking around with rose-colored glasses. It's a neural blueprint for future successes. That's exactly what it is. It's setting us up to remember, to feel, to engage our motor cortex and everything that works toward what we did before. Those things are being replayed in the moment that you are reliving this. Awesome, right? Awesome. Our brain is an awesome thing. Our body is an awesome thing. Why does reliving good stuff help? It reinforces the patterns. It connects those neural pathways. It helps our brain default to joy instead of negativity. All of these things make us better. Let's face it, those that are the best train their brain as much as they train their body. I don't care what walk of life we're in. If those that do mental training enhance their physical ability and their cognitive ability and their emotional regulation ability and their ability to connect or whatever it is that we do, we get better when we have a plan and tools to help us use all our gifts to their fullest. So here's our challenge for the week. I wonder what it'd be like if we did this for 1 week. What if we started our morning off? I thought of this yesterday. I was on campus with one of my teams, and the assistant coach came up to me afterwards and he said, would you call me every morning and remind me of how powerful my brain is so that I can kick my day off in charge? And I thought, I've always really wanted to do with all my athletes a 60-second call in the morning to say, hey, what's our intention today? Here we go kill it. Let's use our power moves today to the best of our ability. But maybe we can do that with this tool or these tools. What if we woke up every morning with a morning mental warm-up of joy conditioning? What if we recalled or relived for 30 seconds? Everybody has 30 seconds. Something great, some awesome experience. For 30 seconds, we relive that in the morning. How would that change the way you walk into the bathroom to brush your teeth and then walk downstairs or wherever it is in your house to face the day? How would that change things? I bet you it would change it for the better. And then let's go on to the next thing. What if we all prepared a highlight reel and we use that before our performance? We prime ourselves for the great sales call. We prime ourselves for the great at bat. We prime ourselves for the game if we're the coach. We prime ourselves for a great conversation. We prime ourselves for whatever it is by reliving the last time or the most impressive time that we did that in our lives. It's probably not that long ago. We can always replace the highlight with the next highlight that we're setting ourselves up for. How would that change the way you show up for everyone you lead and yourself? And then finally, so that was our pre-performance prep, right, using our highlight reel. And then finally, what if we instituted a post-game review? And instead of looking at all the negative things that we did in a conversation or a presentation or in an at-bat or in a run down the field, what if we looked at the good stuff and we relived that just for a few seconds? Then we can do our after-action review and dive in to where we need to make adjustments. But what if we flooded ourselves with the good so that we can look at what we need to fix with a better mindset? And we can open our brain up, because it feels good about itself, to learning and opportunities for growth. So what do you think about that? Could we do that this week? We start off with our morning mental warm-up with our joy conditioning. We move on throughout the day and we use our pre-performance prep using our highlight reel. And then we end the day or end whatever our experience was with a post-game review using either the joy conditioning or the highlight reel to help us open up opportunity for our future successes. The best athletes, the best leaders, the best musicians, the best whatever it is, don't leave their mindset to chance. They train it. They use their physiology. They use all of the chemicals that go on in their body. They use their emotions to their advantage. They use their cognitive senses to their advantage. They train their brain just like they train their body for efficiency, for effectiveness, for consistency, and all the other things that we do when we're doing all the little drills that we do at practice. It's the same thing with our brain. And we can do this so simply with some joy conditioning and a highlight reel. So what are you going to replay today? Are you going to replay joy? Or are you going to replay doubt? Are you going to replay mistakes, or are you going to replay success? Because here's the deal. Your brain is listening. Your brain is always listening. So let's choose joy, and let's look at some highlights, and have a great rest of the week. Don't forget to check out the podcast that I mentioned at the top of this tip, and reach out, JulieJ at ssbperformance.com. I'd love to connect with you and talk more about all the tools that are in the mindset tips, all 243 of them. Have a great week.